Now, Brady, you ready to make a call on Robbie Gray?
Do I make the call on Robbie Gray?
You're in charge.
Yeah, no. Great thing about today was Robbie trained. I think most of you guys would have seen that at the start he was out there. He looked good. He moved well. The next part of that is how he pulls up, and I'd imagine we get a good handle on that as the day plays out. And I think we'll all find out around selection.
Is it as simple as if he feels good, he plays because of his record in the match?
I'm not sure about record in the match. I think he's just record in general. So, but I think your first part of that question is probably about right. Yeah, if he feels good, he pulls up well. He certainly showed us enough, not just today, but also in his previous sessions while we were away over in Melbourne. And there's some excitement around it, for sure.
You've been filling gaps at selection, so to speak, because of the injuries. Is it now the complete opposite, where you've got so many options that you're sort of toying with all sorts of things you can work against Adelaide?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't like to label it as filling gaps. I think we've been exploring with some guys that have been deserving of opportunity, which has been fantastic. And we've had a look at the squad, a greater look. Sometimes that puts us under a little bit more pressure by having that look. But yeah, it does look like the band's getting back together. The ones that we believe will take us forward when it gets pointy. And at the moment, we're just going to see if we can get some synergy in a really short period of time, and Rob's a part of that.
Are you looking at one rough one or two? You played one last time against Adelaide.
Yeah, this week, yeah, we're looking at two.
You got a foot in either camp. I know you're not selecting, you're not the doctor, but in the Robbie Gray, will he play one, he played 10. From what you've seen today, you've seen a lot of fitness tests over your time.
Very optimistic. Very optimistic.
What did he have to do, like in the actual session? Was it just everything?
Yeah, he just did everything. He needs to be at a return to play level, which is what we did today. We trained for 35 minutes. He saw all of that. He was prominent. Did some Robbie Gray things. Yeah, we were happy.
You were surprised at the speed at which he's recovered. I think it was originally listed a little bit longer.
One thing you learn, I think, in this industry and around freak players like Rob is never be surprised. Yeah, it's exciting and it's great to be around, but don't be surprised.
Is it a case of will you name him either way, do you think, and then give him until?
Look, I don't think so, because of the nature of the injury and what he's gone through and what he's the body of work that he's got behind him now to push his claim. So I wouldn't have thought so.
As a club, you've been pretty consistent in your message or idea that your best was yet to come and that you would peak at the right time. Are things sort of on track in that department in terms of the players you've got coming back and the time you've been able to get into some of those guys?
Yeah, so players back, time into them, synergy in the lineup, and then I think there's just some tightening up of how we want to play as well. I think most things point in the right direction. I mean, there's no guarantees. We get some players back or we find some form, play some great opposition in some big games. So, look, we've believed that we haven't been at our absolute best, but we've seen some things that we've been really pleased with too.
Has there been an improvement in being able to command forward territory, locking it into that forward half, which had seemed a bit of a challenge in the past 6 weeks?
Yeah, I guess there's been a little bit more of a return to what makes us very good. Whilst we probably explored some things, some of those things earlier in the year were organic. I don't think we necessarily chased them, but they became part of our game. I think we're back to a point now where we know what works. When done well, it's not the magic formula, but there is some real strength in the way we play when we get it how we like it.
I don't want to sound disrespectful to the opposition, but given that it could come down to percentage, perhaps for a spot in the top four, how important for a four-quarter performance and really, I suppose, make the most of a potentially big game? Yeah,
well, look, whether that's us playing the Giants last week or whether it's Adelaide this week or the Bulldogs in the last game, four-quarter performance is what we've been searching for. And even off the previous question, that's been the missing piece, to be honest. It hasn't been we've been playing poorly. It hasn't been the personnel we've had in the team. We just haven't played 4 quarters. So percentage or no percentage, we've just got to get our 4-quarter game going.
Is that sort of thing, it's the sort of thing that you can only do probably at a halfway point of the game when you're having a great first half and you're up by a bit. Does the coach then, are you in a position, or has it happened in your career that you see a coach come out and go, right, let's really put the hammer down here? You don't want to start before a game, obviously. When you're halfway through and it's going your way.
Look, typically I would say no. I think it's more, okay, what do consistent behaviours look like is, I think, more the modern day message when things go well and you want to see them continue to go on. It's what's reliability, what's consistency, what's predictability look like? I think that's a better conversation than put the foot down and fill your boots. So, look, it'd be wonderful to be in that position in any game we play in the next 3. But that's certainly not our mindset going into this.
After playing in front of no crowds, do you get an energy playing against a crowd that wants to see you lose?
Absolutely. I thought Tom Jonas put it really well yesterday. Where he'd rather be in a stadium with people booing and hatred than no one at all. It's the sort of thing that gets him going. I know that, and it may not work for everyone else, but yeah, look, it's been an incredibly tough season again. Any crowds, any people, any atmosphere, I think our players are only going to feed on that.
The scandal at Westlakes, what sort of bearing do you think that might have in terms of the contest or the way your opposition or your team approaches?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the bearing. I think all I can say to that right now is that we're planning on him playing. We're preparing, we're ready. He was in a really good battle last time, so yeah, we're planning for that right now.
Your 2 rucks and the 3 tall forwards was seen as a bit of an experiment to start with. Is that just the way you structure up now? Is that your ideal mix?
Well, again, we're still searching for that perfect mix, and I think guys have had great opportunity now, which has been important, not to just have one look, throw it away, or see something that necessarily didn't work perfectly and then move on. I think we've persisted for a period of time. You're always going to give something up to get something. You know, we think we get great control of games having the 2 ruckmen, but then what does that ruckman do when he's pushed out of that, you know, that key role, and what's he able to do to survive and complement the team? So there's a balanced conversation going on all the time. But what is there is the challenge for these guys to make sure that they don't become vulnerable. So
why do you think that's working for you, whereas others may be a bit gun-shy about going in so tall?
Yeah, look, I think there's certainly what you value and rate is important. Now, there's teams that don't necessarily rate stoppage, and that's fine, and that's something we hold in high regard here. Contests in the air to make sure that opposition backlines don't get it on their terms is also something that helps us play well. So if they're high in, I guess, impact in those areas, well, they're in the positive. If those things dip, well, then we have to potentially look elsewhere.
Onto the Crows are going to play a debutant this week. Cook's going to play his first game. What do you make of a debutant in a showdown of all games? You don't want to give him advice, but what are the games like?
Oh, look, it's certainly going to be hot. They have to make their debuts somewhere. As a coach, I like coaching bold moves. That's another bold move. Why not expose a young player to probably one of the hottest environments in footy? Whilst the crowd won't be there, the contest and the opposition will. So, yeah, I don't see an issue with it.
Can your boys sort of really get into a debutant and just get in their head early?
Oh, I think they can. Whether they will, I doubt that. I think they've got sort of bigger fish to fry in this one. Yeah, we're trying to do a lot of things at the moment. I think that would only be a distraction.
How precarious is the assistant coaching situation and fraternity across the league at the moment?
Anything specifically?
Well, just with soft cap squeeze, a lot of talk about futures of coaches at this club and around the league and movement. Just how's the landscape changed in the last couple of years from your perspective?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting question. It's certainly not in the state that I'd like to see it in. Less resources, less money, the same if not more workload. The stress hasn't changed. So, yeah, I think there's probably not enough sensitivity around at least that fraternity. I think staff in general, you could certainly package them up in the same boat for sure. Yeah, I'd love to see a little bit more balance and understanding, particularly in the last 2 seasons of what we've seen. And the circumstances are challenging, at the very least. But to also go through all that, I think it lacks a little bit of feel, to be fair.
You work with Bossy on a daily basis. How is he coping with his name being a sort of a daily mention in most newspapers? Yeah,
I think it's just another day at the office for Michael. He's a true pro. This is my 3rd year here. I think he's been either rightly or wrongly attached to a number of jobs through that period, and I haven't seen his work rate, his professionalism waver in that time. So, Yeah, I can't imagine it'll be any different for the last little patch of this season either.
Just on
Last couple, guys.
So the thought process with Robbie, that the intensity, as mentioned with the showdown, does that play any part in terms of not wanting him to throw him in the deep end?
Not necessarily. It certainly won't be part of our selection conversation. It'll be, is he ready? Has he done enough? Part of that we'll find out as the day goes on. Has he done enough is a yes. We won't factor in crowd, intensity, opposition into that. We need Robbie back in the team. We'd like to get him back in the team. Whether that's this week or next, we'll find out.
Is there an ideal amount of games he needs to get up to speed?
No, I don't think so. And again, I'll go back to that previous question around nothing surprises me. And I don't think anyone, if he comes out and has a really, really good game, should also be surprised.
The recent allegations involving Walker, will that have an impact over the showdown this Saturday?
I think the only impact would be whether he's selected or not, which I think I've answered. And we're planning for him to play. You know, we've got a professional duty to prepare this team to play, and my job as a defence and backline coach is to prepare our guys to play him, and that's what we'll do.
Small bit of talk on radio this morning about a couple of your older boys maybe who aren't in the team at the moment, and sides like Gold Coast who seem to be doing linked a bit with Port Adelaide, Ray, maybe exploring their options. Would you begrudge a player at the business end of their career exploring options next year if there isn't a spot in Port's 22?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I've got a huge amount of respect and empathy for guys that are coming to the end of their careers, and I think what the expansion of the league has done is it's created opportunities for them to go elsewhere, not only to play but to lead, you know, and find opportunities that potentially they wouldn't have got previously. So I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about there because we don't want to lose anyone, but that's the industry too, and you've got to help people be on their way in their futures.